Welcome back. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to enable wireframe. I like to set my opacity on mine to about 50% so we can still see the model. Looks good to me. Alright, so I'm going to pick a random mesh to start with. So I like to find meshes that I can just start removing polys from that are going to be hidden under other meshes. So as you can see with the sleeve right here, I'm just straight up removing faces that are underneath that we will never see. Another way we can reduce the polygon count on our avatar is by removing any unneeded expression meshes inside the avatar's head. As you can see here, there are several copies of the face mesh which are used for various things like blush, for example. There are also some tear meshes and other little eye droplet and other little bits that we're not going to be using. Why keep them? So I'll continue poking around and selecting other bits that I'm not going to be using. Select an edge, hit Ctrl L, and that'll select anything that is linked to those edges. Got a few more scragglers, so I'll just get rid of those. Okay, and I think we did well for now. Now let's move on to a different part of the body. Once we enable the pants, you'll notice that more of the body is hidden. So what do? Remove those polys that we're never going to see because we aren't toggling the pants on and off. So we'll enter edit mode and select the faces we're going to get rid of. I like using box select because it allows me to select a large group of polygons all at once. Looks good, and so I'm just going to hit X and delete those faces. So one sec, we have our feet here, but didn't we have some shoes on this avatar? Yes, actually we did have some, so you know what that means? I'm so sorry for those toes, but yes, we're inevitably going to have to get rid of them. So select X and delete. So I'm going to come in a little bit closer and we are going to remove a few of the parts of the shoes that are being hidden by the pants. You can see these outer bits and these other ones, as well as there's these little faces on the tongues. We can get rid of those. And these tiny little tabs that hang off the front. So before we move on any further, I'm going to first re-enable all the meshes. So we'll zoom in a little bit closer to our hair, for example. We're going to open up our material and you can see the texture reference is broken. So we're going to head back over to Unity and go to the material on the hair and find out what texture is in the color slot. So we're going to click and drag, Alt-Tab, and connect that to the base color. Now we can see our hair. The reason that I like to plug in at least the base texture is to know if any of the UVs are being stretched when I'm collapsing edges or removing any polygons. That way you don't have any surprises creep up on you when you get to the final step in optimizing your meshes on your avatar. So with all of that being said, let's go through the process once more before we move on.
Alright, no fooling around. This is for real.
Looks good to me, so we'll repeat that same process for all the other materials in this time lapse. Alright, and now that we have all of the base color textures plugged in for all of our materials, I'm going to move on to reducing the poly count on the hair. So first things, we're just going to take a look around at the hair. I'm going to head into edit mode with Tab. Then while holding Shift Alt, we're going to click an edge, F3, and search for Checker Deselect. We will hit F3 once more, search for edge rings, and then untick this box right here. Control X to dissolve the edge loops, and just like that, we've cut the poly count in half on that strand of hair. Let's repeat the process on a few more. So now that we've finished those few, I'll speed up the process for all the rest of the strands of hair. So at this point in the process, it might be good for us to save the project just in case a crash may occur. Typically, you might want to actually do this as the first step, just in case. So I'm going to do that right now. So next up, we're going to just reorganize all of our meshes a little bit. I'm going to create a new collection that will house all of the objects that we are going to toggle on and off. So I'll select the coat, t-shirt, headphones, and gloves. I'm going to hit F3 to search, and we are going to select Move to Collection, and then select our Toggles collection. So we'll take a look in the Toggles collection, and you can see all the meshes. And now we'll move on to separate parts of the body and optimize those. So the next step here that I'll walk you through is how to use the decimate modifier. First, I'm gonna separate this collar from the mesh because I don't want to decimate that. So now we'll take a look around this mesh. I can already see a few areas where we can collapse and decimate some edges and where we'll want to retain. So I'm gonna select these faces and use Control Plus to grow our selection. And we're gonna use this technique that I just recently discovered by assigning specific groups to vertex groups. So we'll do this down in the data tab right here. You can see we have some created already. Just double click and call this one chest. There's already a chest bone, so we'll just assign those vertices to that. And now we'll select the top, create another group for, I believe it was top chest, and assign those. And lastly, we'll select all of the bottom and assign those to a group called abdomen. So first, we'll come over to the shape keys and we're going to remove these since you cannot apply a modifier with decimation to a mesh that has shape keys. So do that, then go to the modifier tab and add our first decimate. And we're going to assign the vertex groups that we just created. Then what we'll do is duplicate, assign the second vertex group, and then duplicate and assign the third. Now after this, what we'll do is we will adjust the ratios, and obviously a little too low, we'll go up and we'll adjust the first modifier. A little too much there, but it just takes a little bit to dial in the settings. However much you think you can afford, while retaining the similar or same silhouette. And looks like it took me a couple seconds, but I finally found and landed on an option I liked. So yeah, as you can see, it looks very similar, if not exactly the same as the original, but with fewer polys. So let's move on and do that with the rest of the meshes. So So one of the things that tends to happen once you collapse or decimate meshes, you can see that meshes underneath start clipping through when they don't have enough geometry. So what we'll do is we'll go into edit mode, select the faces, and hit Alt-S, which extrudes the faces along the normals. And I'm using proportional editing here to also kind of smooth out and bring in the faces along with the other edges so that we don't have to do each vertice one by one. So Alt-S, use O for proportional editing, and just kind of finesse and massage it until you've fixed all the clipping on your mesh. So we'll do that for all the rest of the meshes until the end of this video.